Good evening. I call this September 9th, 2024 meeting of the Sylvania Board of Education to order. Adam, please call the roll.
Ms. Hoffman?
Here.
Mrs. Conklin?
Here.
Mrs. Lavalette?
Here.
Mr. Feller? Here.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Motley, I think we're with you.
I believe you are. I'm trying to pull up my agenda here. Forgive me. Thank you very much, Ms. Lavalette. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. As noted on our agenda, I wanted to speak to the PE waiver that we have been discussing over the course of the last couple of meetings. And I would like to thank all of those who have been involved in discussing the PE waiver, those around the table here in this room, as well as those beyond this room that are not present today. Although it has been a 2.5-year dialogue, I have decided not to move forward with the recommendation for a policy revision at this point in time. However, with that said, it should be noted that I will continue to explore ways that increase and maximize opportunities for our Sylvania students when it comes to meeting the Ohio Department of Education PE requirements. Specifically, when it comes to scheduling conflicts that at times make summer PE the only viable option for our families, or for some students it may create a forced choice in regards to dropping a course that a student has invested in over years with practice time and due diligence. And now conflicts may arise with another singleton course in the scheduling process. To be clear, as a district, we will continue to revisit how we can potentially restructure PE and the scheduling process at our high schools and junior highs for our students to reduce scheduling conflicts that, again, at times can result in our parents paying for a required course that's set forth by the Ohio Department of Education. So with that, we are pressing pause. However, we will continue to explore other opportunities for our students. And that's all I have on our PE waiver at this point in time.
Thank you for that. I do hope we can continue to explore options to create flexibility for our students in this area. And it's very important to me.
Absolutely. Well, and I think it's important for our students, especially those who may have picked up an instrument in 5th grade or 4th grade and have dedicated hours of learning that instrument and being a part of the peer group that's involved, and then they find themselves in their freshman or sophomore year having to choose, do I give up this instrument that I have created a love for and want to continue with for a PE requirement that really is about 2 semesters out of a 4-year career. There has to be some other opportunities, and we will look at other districts to see what they do. We will explore other options. I know, quite frankly, from my previous district, we offered high school PE at a junior high level. There's a way that we can look at that. They would start to earn their high school credit, not unlike you can with CCP, but you earn it in 7th, 8th grade, particularly 8th grade, and maybe we can look at that. One of the burdens I do want to relieve, though, on our parents is putting our parents in a position where our students really want to maximize the number of periods that are in our school day and take as many courses as possible. So then our parents have to not only fork out the money to pay for that course over the summer, but also, in some instances, provide transportation for the children to participate in those activities. And we know, as a district, Sylvania Schools is a very diverse community. And when I say diverse, I'm speaking economically as well. And not everyone can essentially afford to participate in summer PE. The costs may be reduced or waived, but you still have the requirement to get to said venues to participate. So we also want to relieve that pressure, equal the playing field, and look at what some other options may be overall. And we'll look at other districts in surrounding areas and beyond. We can look across the state of Ohio. So I'm just pressing pause for now, but the work continues. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are at the portion of our agenda for public participation for items that are on the agenda. None? Okay. And no one is here for public participation, so we will move on to the superintendent's report. Oh, I'm sorry, the superintendent's other items.
That's all right. Tonight, it is my pleasure, we have several individuals here that have an opportunity to travel to learn more about cultivating STEM and really going from the notion as STEM being a curriculum or a place in which children are introduced to STEM, but really STEM as a process, a philosophy that's embedded in the learning environment each and every day. So tonight we have Melissa Romero, Nicole Miller from McCord. We also have Pete Knopfsinger from Arbor Hills. We also have Laurel Thwaites. I always must have realized it. Thwaites. Thank you. Here to present because they traveled to Cincinnati on behalf of the AASA, which is the National Superintendent's Organization. And because of the dynamics of our district, we were specifically invited. I think Mr. Zeroff, one of 8 schools, 12 schools in the state?
12 schools.
One of 12 school districts in the state. So it was a privilege and an honor to be asked to go and learn with other folks. So I'm going to turn over the microphone and the floor to our presenters. And thank you for being here tonight when this weather is absolutely perfect outside.
Andrea Johnson is here, our secondary director of teaching and learning. She'll be presenting as well, even though she couldn't attend the conference. She's still highly engaged with the STEM process in our district as well. So.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
You're good to go.
Thank you, Dr. Motley, for the introduction. Yes, this was the team. We were fortunate to participate in STEM Cincinnati. Zoe, Laurel, Melissa, Nicole, Pete, myself. So, thank you.
So the purpose for today is really just to have a really healthy conversation about STEM as being a way of learning as opposed to something to do, a thing to put on a teacher's plate. For me, when I had my curriculum lens on, it was definitely a breath of fresh air, a different perspective of how I see STEM embedded in our school district. So today I really want to go over as a team, we want to point out to you our summary, our key findings, recommendations, and really feedback, a two-way conversation of how we can build our capacity to build STEM. And this slide is just because we had a great selfie and that was an awesome picture, so that's why it's here. But this picture is actually outside of Indian Hill Exempt Schools where the conference took place. And throughout the conference, when you took a picture, you had to tag the conference and then you would win prizes. So I believe both Nicole and Laura won prizes for the sponsors that they had there. So they had some really cool tips and tricks that they were doing, again, from sponsorships, from community partnerships. So right now I'm going to have Nicole take it away with her key findings from the event.
So one of the big key findings was, first, I was kind of like startled that I was the only teacher invited to go on this trip because it's very flattering. But I'm a STEM teacher, so when I went there, I guess I had the preconception that like it was just because I was a STEM teacher and what gadgets am I going to bring back to the classroom? And that's not what this was at all. It's really a way of thinking. It's not a new technique or a new gadget that you're bringing into the classroom. It's, you know, what's kind of already being done in our schools. And I think a lot of this, like coming from a teacher's perspective, because I think that's what I really bring to this group, is that it's not, at least at McCord, I feel like it's already being done at McCord. It's just not being recognized as being a STEM way of thinking. I know our science teachers build roller coasters every year, and that's very STEM-based. I know that our mild to moderate intense, they do gardening in our like courtyard. So I mean, there's lots of STEM things that are happening, but it's just not being recognized as STEM.
So now I'm going to speak for a little bit on the 4 C's in design thinking. So most years we have Sarah Nelson, a teacher at Timberstone, teach a course at Florence about the 4 C's and gifted education. And it was wonderful being at the STEM conference where we saw the 4 C's, which are critical thinking, communication, collaboration, creativity, were not just limited to gifted students. They were available to all students because these are solid skills that anybody needs for problem solving. So they took these 4 C's, these key skills, and they intertwine them with the design thinking process. So again, STEM moving beyond being that science, technology, engineering, math, and a way to think about problems, a way to view problems and solve problems. One way that they incorporated STEM throughout their entire district is by having this poster that you guys see on this slide. They were everywhere in the schools, in the hallways, in the classrooms, in any common spaces, where the students were constantly reminded, what is this design thinking process? What are these, they have 5 C's, which I'll explain in a little bit, to make sure they're always thinking and realizing STEM is not a class, it's not a location, it's not a person, it is a way of thinking, a way of problem solving, a way of life. So, we took inspiration from their poster. We also took inspiration from Waterville Primary. We went to visit a local school next to us that's also STEM designated, and we created our own design thinking model, which you have in front of you. So this poster, I have made sure when I was just selecting the word choices that would be on there, that they would be words that all of our students could understand. Something that Indian Hills did that I really enjoyed was they used the exact same poster throughout their entire district, preschool through 12th grade. With the preschool and the younger students, they had the same poster, but they would have sticky notes around the poster so they could visualize what it would look like for kids to think through those problems. You will also see with the poster, I give you a design thinking work mat. That is something that our younger students can use as well. They're typically a little bit bigger, and the kids can write all over them with dry erase markers, which is why they're laminated. They can put sticky notes on them. And again, it's just teaching those kids, this is how you think through a problem. If you would like to, it would be amazing for you to carry these around with you throughout your day, and then when you come to a problem, you could stop and think, did I go through these steps? More than likely you did, because you're successful adults and we have internalized these steps. But our students haven't done that yet, so we need to teach them how to do that. We need to walk them through the steps. All of this is coming together to say that STEM is really strategies that engage the mind. That's one way you could think of the STEM. It's something that's beneficial for all of our students. We don't know what the future is going to look like for our kids. A study just came out actually a few days ago, and it was saying over half of the content on the internet is AI generated. I don't think any of us could have predicted that 2 years ago. So how is it we're preparing our kids for what's going to be in the future in 2 years, 10 years, 20 years? But we know they all need to be able to critically think. They need to be able to problem solve. And this design thinking and STEM help our students do just that.
Thank you, Laura. Being a building leader, I think it was really important on this trip, and just kind of like what Nicole was saying, when Melissa and I were driving down to Cincinnati, I think we were thinking, man, we're going to see a bunch of awesome hardware and technology that we'd love to have for our kids, but how expensive is it going to be? And we're like, how are we going to do it? You know, are they going to hook us up with grants? And then we got to Indian Hill, and I don't know if you're familiar with the community, but we're like, yeah, it's even worse than we thought. You know, it's like nothing but mansions driving in. And
It's a very nice area.
very nice, yeah. But once we got in and the keynote speaker right away, like it was super obvious, like right away we're looking at each other like this is not at all what we were thinking. To return to being a building leader, we've seen over the years as we're doing PBIS and we're trying to teach kids how to behave on top of doing academics, that it almost feels like they're two separate things. But what we noticed really quickly is behavior is directly tied to academics, and we're talking, you know, as we talk about MTSS and all these other things, Tier 1 means all kids in the building should be engaging in this. And what Laura was talking about, where you see these posters and these designs and going through this all the time, this should be STEM for all, where it should be students in every classroom, in every school, every day, should be engaging in design thinking. And we should be promoting the 5 C's, which we favor, with citizenship being the 5th. That would take care of sort of that behavior part, where it's not a disengagement from behavior. Like you behave as something you do and you're not in class or in the hallways. It's time to get together, and hopefully that's something we can develop universally, where kids are engaged in what they're doing. And yes, they do. I think the way to do that is just that they're being challenged and they're problem solving and they're collaborating with not just their classmates, but also community partners and people like yourselves in this room. where they feel like they're doing something that really matters. It answers the question of why are we doing this, which is a former high school social studies teacher. I'm embarrassed to say I had difficulty answering throughout time and got better at answering that question. But with STEM lessons and STEM pedagogy, there's no problem at all answering that question. And it's applicable to every subject and, like I said, every classroom and every school. So the big thing is really just interacting and problem solving collaboratively and having a real world impact. And in Sylvania, we have so many resources that are human resources in our community, where we're kind of in a weird thing where we have all these people who do all these great things out in the real world, and they send their kids to us, but then we don't interact as much as we should, where really we should be using that expertise and those resources to sort of get our kids to be the next one of you guys. So that's kind of what STEM is about. So I know what we're turning
Hopefully better than us.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Hopefully better than us.
Oh, yeah, well, that's what we want from our kids, but yeah, we're doing okay.
Definitely, they taught us how to begin conversations with community partners and how to tap into the potential of our parents, our families, and what they can bring to the table to support STEM initiatives. So we would begin with, again, highlighting that STEM is embedded in everything, executive functioning skills, academic skills, and then building that common terminology across K through 12 so everyone's speaking the same language. But really invite you all to help us with that. How do we build, who do you know that can support that partnership with us so we can start building those STEM relationships? And I'm gonna have Pete talk a little bit about things that he started in his building based from our conference.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and I think just the big thing, that was kind of the takeaway from that was just kind of connecting people who are eager to be directly involved in instruction, not just going to when we need money. Talking about like, oh, we need help doing this project or, obviously voting or whatever else, but we're talking about getting people in our schools frequently. And these are direct steps that we've taken as a group, and there's more to the list than that. But for me personally, the first thing that came from the conference was forming a STEM committee, where I made 15 cold phone calls to community members based on a Power School report about jobs that people in our community had, talking about Arbor Hills School community. And we had a Grammy Award-winning music director. We had a zookeeper. We have Vice President of Global Environmental Affairs for OI. We have all sorts of crazy jobs that you wouldn't believe, and every single person when I called and asked, they said, sign me up. Everybody said yes, so we are meeting quarterly, and these individuals are meeting and they're staying on top of what STEM projects we're doing and how they can get involved to partner with their classrooms, work directly with their students and staff to actually impact teaching and learning. So we had a first fall meeting, and I think the engagement and the enthusiasm was unbelievable. And it's going to culminate this spring where we're doing the Big Pitch, and I just want to share, we have schools that are doing this in our district already. So it's not like we're not doing STEM places, we are. We just haven't had a deliberate, unified approach, as a district. And again, nobody's fault, it's just kind of STEM's pretty new in this regard. But the Big Pitch is where 8th graders go through the design process, and they're going to ask questions of why things have to be a certain way at Arbor Hills, and they imagine how it could be better. And then they're going to make a pitch to how they can make something better at Arbor Hills to our community board. And they're going to select one that our whole 8th grade class will own. And then from that point on, they're going to be in committees and work with their community partners to try to improve whatever it is. So if you imagine our crosswalk is unsafe, and that's what gets selected, then you might have somebody who works with the government side of things to get help with zoning with the mayor and with, we have a police officer on our community. And then you might have somebody who's in construction and project management. So some students work with that individual to try to get that changed and make phone calls and get different supplies. So it could go a lot of different ways, and it's exciting because I have no idea how it's going to go. But yeah, probably talking a little bit too much, and there's a lot more to say. But
Thank you. Any questions or anything that you would like to offer us in terms of how you were all gonna go get us partnerships so we can build it?
This is fascinating. It is, and it puts just a little twist on how we've looked at STEM. It kind of reminds me how when we started with computers, it was a computer lab. Someplace we went, and now today we're all tethered by all types of technology around us. But how it's embedding, and it's funny how you said you went there thinking, we're gonna get some more gadgets and some more stuff, but really it enlightened you to a philosophy. And in many ways, as you stated, we're already doing it. And as part of our strategic plan, this allows us to be more comprehensive with how we're doing it. So I'm so glad that all of you went and are able to share this knowledge with our board and continue to help us move this ball down the road, especially when it is part of our strategic plan and looking what our next steps are, so.
You can check all the boxes.
Right? Oh, exactly. Good job. Wait, like that.
I've got a question.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like there's great things happening at Arbor Hills. It sounds like there's some things happening at McCord. What's the vision for getting that, making that, I guess, standard across the district? Because I'm assuming that's the goal, is to perfect it there and then get this out to the other schools.
Do you mind if I?
Yeah, hear from our educators.
We already have these structures in place and everything else that we do in the district with a district leadership team and then a building leadership team and then a teacher-based team where we do the same stuff with everything that we do, whether we're talking about like best scores and that sort of stuff or behavior. This would follow the exact same model where their recommendation was to have a district STEM committee that I'm talking about. Then each building would have a STEM committee and then teachers would also be in STEM committees where they would be working with their group of teachers that they would be working on like applicable projects and units that they would be doing within their group, a specific group of partners, if you will. So it would basically follow the same structures we already have in place.
Structure the framework, the terminology, but then being authentic to what every school's needs are. What would be a specific PBL project for that specific school site that we could describe for his building?
And it would be important that we would use the same, obviously, we're fortunate enough, Laurel did a really nice job getting the design thinking process posted, but just keeping that universal helps us there.
I think we're probably all in and trying to help you, but we might not want to be like throwing out people's names and tying them to it at an open meeting before we can, talk to others to see, if we can, find some partners for you.
Thanks for volunteering.
I would just throw out, if there's specific partners you're looking for, maybe shoot us an email and we can
Yeah.
see if any of us have connections.
100%.
I
Specific
think
partners.
anybody who would want to be involved, we would love. I was at Pete's first STEM committee meeting, and a parent was like, I don't know why I'm here. And I was like, we want anybody. We want successful adults who are in a variety of fields because we don't know what our students are going to be interested in. Maybe you have that one niche interest that matches with a student's niche interest, and you're able to build on that. I don't think we have a particular limit or a particular group that we're really seeking. Just anybody who wants to get more involved and help our kids.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point where I think the best way to approach it is by frequently and in an ongoing manner getting a group of people who want to be involved in direct instruction together. So when you do need something, then the opportunity becomes apparent instead of going to them when you want a particular help. Like the idea would be that that communication in that meeting is already happening. So like the opportunity just kind of arise from that. So I
That
think.
was one of the recommendations, right?
Yeah.
From the conference where they have a sponsorship through JSTOL Learning, but they started just with building a committee, looking for people that can really partner with the schools to try finding ways that they can support initiatives that they would come up with throughout the year. So it was starting from at that point. So anybody and everybody.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to recommend item 4.2, which is an MOU with UGSU College of Education and Human Development. This is an annual agreement, a memorandum of understanding for us to support pre-service teachers in our district.
A little approval.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Adam, call the roll.
Julie?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes. Thank you. I would like to recommend item 4.3, which is a TIF resolution with the City of Sylvania's transportation system improvement efforts and use of tax increment financing.
I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
Comments or questions? Adam, please call the roll.
Greg?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Tyberski.
Thank you. I will recommend items 5.1 and 5.2 on a consent agenda basis. 5.1 licensed substitutes and 5.2 licensed entry.
I'll move approval on a consent agenda basis, items 5.1 and 5.2.
Second.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Julie?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Thank you. I will recommend items 6.1 and 6.2 on a consent agenda basis. 6.1 are classified new hires, and 6.2 are classified personnel changes.
I'll move for approval on a consent agenda basis, items 6.1 and 6.2.
Second.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Kim?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Thank you. I will recommend item 7.1 as a standalone item. It is licensed supplemental positions for the 24-25 school year.
I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Greg?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Julie?
Abstain.
Thank you. I will recommend items 7.2 through 7.4 on a consent agenda basis. 7.2 are non-teaching people activity contracts for the 24-25 school year. 7.3 are our athletic volunteers for the 24-25 school year. And 7.4 are changes, corrections, and resignations for current supplementals.
I'll move approval on a consent agenda basis, items 7.2 through 7.4.
I'll second.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Kim?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is appointment of a board member as a representative to Sylvania Community Services. SCS actually reached out wanting to get the position filled. Jill had filled this position, and so they want a new board representative. I think Kim has expressed some interest. Are either of you interested in doing that? Okay. Then I will move for the appointment of Kim as board representative to Sylvania Community Services.
Second.
Adam, please call the roll.
Tammy?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Okay, we are at the portion of our agenda for public participation for non-agenda items. There is no one. Okay, then I will move, we go into executive session for purposes of considering the appointment of a public official.
Second.
Adam, please call the roll.
Tammy?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.